Okay, so like that was the closest music I could find to like musical on Canva. I know it doesn't really fit quite, but I was dancing a lot backstage. So and I'm wearing my Magic Mike shirt from Sasha. It's Mike Myers. That's part of Magic Mike. One of the best shirts I own. One of my favorite Michael Myers piece of merch. So this is very, very much in theme with what we're talking about tonight. Not really. But anyway, so welcome to week 2 of our second annual Christian effing Bale Month. Woo, the crowd goes wild. And tonight we are talking about Christian's favorite movie he's ever done. Newsies. Yeah, so I'm going to be bringing on my other panelists. It's just me and Carla, and you never know who might stop by, but you know. So welcome to the stage. This is also Carla's favorite Christian Bale performance. Carla!
Hi, Erin.
I'm
I,
not
I,
going to talk to you.
I am thrilled to be discussing Newsies.
I believed that.
By far my favorite Christian Bale performance. I can't wait.
For podcast listeners who can't see Carla's face while she's saying those words that she so emphatically believes.
From my soul.
Yes, from her soul. Yes. So I know this was the one that was voted on. Listeners wanted us to discuss this year. So yes, we are discussing Newsies. We're so enthused, which you can watch on Disney Plus. So this makes like the 5th thing I've watched on Disney Plus since Disney Plus has existed. So I'm not putting you down, Disney Plus, because I know sometimes you have been an advertiser on this podcast. So I'm not putting you down at all.
Wow. That was
our...
Mickey Mouse being like offended. Wow.
Oh, so we get Mickey Mouse today too. Wow, we're in for a lot of treats. So if you don't know what Newsies is, it was a failed movie too. It became a cult classic, but Newsies is a musical based on the New York City newsboy strike of 1899 when young newspaper sellers were exploited beyond reason by their bosses. They set out to enact change and are met by the ruthlessness of big business, and they sing the whole time. Not the whole time.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not like Jesus Christ Superstar where they actually do sing the whole time.
Yeah, that's true. Yes. And it stars Christian Bale, of course, as Jack Kelly, David Moscow as Jack Kelly's, well, we'll get into that later, but as David Jacobs, Bill Pullman as Brian Denton, Robert Duvall as Joseph Pulitzer. What's her name? Sorry, I don't know why it didn't give me at the front. Woman who plays Sarah, who's just kind of thrown in there as a love interest. Elle Keats, who plays Sarah Jacobs, the brother of David, and her and Jack somehow, I don't know why, doesn't
the sister of David. I just want to clarify. You said the brother.
Mother? Did I say?
You said the brother.
So sorry. Gosh, I'm so sorry. I meant to say her brother is David. I apologize. So yes, the sister of David, and for some reason, her and Jack are like in love. I don't know. They have like one scene really together, and then they kiss at the end. I don't know.
Because it's Disney, and you have to make it as hetero as possible. It's like, oh no, this is getting too gay.
Yes, even though everyone can tell David and Jack are madly in love with each other. So
that was the real chemistry on the screen.
Oh my gosh, the flirting that Jack did with David. Holy moly, some of the looks he gave him, I was just like, just kiss already. Anyway, seriously, it was like, oh yeah, oh wait, I'm watching a Disney movie from 1992. That's not going to be happening. This was directed by Kenny Ortega, who also did the choreography. The writers were Bob Tootzicker and Noni White. So yeah, and this was originally supposed to be a drama. Yeah, I think that would have been nice.
I'm sitting here thinking, like, why did
Fans,
they decide to change that direction? I feel like that could have been good.
I know fans of this because we've had some Newsy fans like some of our posts about this. So I apologize in advance to our Newsy fans out there. Christian Bale was supposedly, this isn't supposed, there's a video you could watch where he's like, I didn't tell people for the longest time this was a musical. So supposedly ashamed to tell his friends that the movie was a musical. And also he has said before that he didn't want to be in a musical. So he thought, even though he's the main character, he thought he could just let everybody else sing and he would just sit out the musical numbers. Oh, Chrissy.
So young, so innocent.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Um, so it was, like I said, it was a critical and commercial flop upon its initial theatrical release. But it gathered a cult following after its home video release and eventually made its filming budget back on rentals. Subsequently, it was deemed popular enough to be adapted into a stage musical, which premiered at New Jersey's Paper Mill Playhouse in 2011. The stage version had music and lyrics by Alan Menken, who composed the movie's music as well, and Jack Feldman, the music's lyricist, as well as a new book by playwright and actor Harvey Fierstein. The show moved to Broadway in March 2012 and ran for over 2 years, after which a North American tour launched. And this cracks me up. Whoever put this trivia into IMDb put in parentheses, talk about rising from the ashes. I'm sorry, that just cracked me up when I was reading this. You're muted there.
IMDb recaps are usually like so dry. That is hilarious to me that's like that made it in somehow. Like, what was this person on? Maybe they did like a bunch of recaps in a row. They're like, ha ha ha.
I know.
Nobody's gonna read this one anyway.
No one's gonna read this one anyway. Sneak that in there. Yes, yes. So, and a little fun little trivia. I thought I had seen this movie before. I have never seen this movie before.
Me neither. I think I confused it with something else because I'm like, but I thought I watched this, and maybe it was just my brain trying to protect me from like trying to watch.
Yeah, because I'm like, I have never watched this before.
I swear, I do have some nice things to say about it, but
I do too. Yes, yes. It won't be all negative until Christian comes along. No, he's even, I believe, said some nice things about it and defended it. So, you know, he's not all negative about it, I don't think. So, first off, Carla, I want to know, since it's Christian's month, what did you think of Jack? And more importantly, what did you think of Christian's performance and his singing? That's,
you know, his singing isn't bad. Like, it's not exceptional, but it's not bad. I think that it just completely befuddles me why they would have cast him in this role, because like I really think that the movie as a musical would have succeeded more if they had like really great singers on here, if they had actual, you know, theater experienced people, or even just, you know, people I think with like more extensive people with passion for it. I think because I'm thinking specifically of his solo in the beginning, not at the beginning, but like towards the beginning, where he's singing about, I think it's like that's the first time he sings about Santa Fe and whatever.
Santa Fe's the song, yeah.
Okay, well there you go. And he does like this one thing where like every musical, somebody hangs off a pole and like just kind of like gazes up into the sky and like rolls their way around the pole. It's like you know, like stripping light. It's like very PG stripping, but he does it with like zero zeal, you know, like there's no enthusiasm there. So I think in the musical numbers, he just feels so out of place sometimes. It's a budding serious actor in a group of musical theater kids. So he does kind of stick out
Mhm.
in that sense. And I think it's but the all of the acting parts, of course he does an amazing job because he is just so talented. Um I think he outperforms the more veteran actors in most cases. Um, I you know Robert Duvall, he was just like so hammy in this role. It was so out of place with what everybody else was doing. So I don't know what was going on with the direction there. Like, why would they tell him, okay, you have to take this to like 1,000th degree,
I
especially the scene
know.
where he's confronting Jack and Jack's walking away and he's like yelling at him. It doesn't make any sense. Like it just feels so out there and like not a great way. But I think Christian does his thing where he really um his performance really draws you in. I think once you get past the first musical sequence, when you get to where they go to Weasel to get the newspapers, that's
Mhm.
when you start to like actually get into the movie because it's the acting and it's the performing, even with that accent. that, that accent was so accenty. It was just,
It
like,
was. It was early on in his great accent career because he does really good
yes,
accents normally.
he
So it's like,
does. He does. But I don't think that this is something that because I was never in the 1890s in New York, so I don't know how close to authentic it is. But they all like all of the kids had the same accent, so they
Mhm.
probably all had the same coach. But like, hey, you guys, let's get the papes. Hey, where's the quota for the papes? I gotta get my papes.
The Papes part is what I was
I know
going.
it cracked me up. It was like, okay, we get it. You call it papes. Like you don't have to say papes every like third word. I gotta go down the street and go to Brooklyn. Oh, Brooklyn is scary, but they got papes, so it's probably okay.
They got Papes.
They got the papes. They're scary people, but it's okay because they got the papes. It cracks me up so hard. And I think that if I were ever uh to have the opportunity to speak to Christian Bale directly, I've never really had in mind something that I thought I could ask him. I just never. I'm not an interviewer. That's not something that comes natural to me. But I did come away from this film with a burning question, and that is whether he preferred gun katas or the Newsies choreo. Which one for him was the stand-up moment in his career? Because it's got to be one of them. They're both so amazing. So was it the gun katas from Equilibrium or the Newsies choreo? I mean, like that. I'm sure that if there's something in his mind that redeems the entire experience for him, it's got to be the choreography.
It's gotta be the
It
choreography.
must be.
I really want to know that. I really want, when
Burning
I interview
questions,
him,
Christian. Yes.
it won't be my first question or he might leave. But it'll be one of my questions for him. So, Christian, we really want to know.
Yes. I must know. This I just it has consumed my entire mind.
Yes. Well, what I wrote down was Bale is giving his all, but you can tell he's really not into it. And that's for the musical numbers and the choreography, frankly, too, but mainly the musical numbers. Like you can see in his face that inside he is dying inside. He does not want to be doing this. It's like he wants to crawl out of his skin and be anywhere else. And especially this the Santa Fe number, which is actually an interesting song, but it's kind of like you can tell he's like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Why am I doing this? Am I gonna have to do this again in my career? Is this what I'm gonna be now? And no, Christian.
Maybe they just got it in one take because he's like, I'm doing this exactly once, so you better get it all.
Yes, I learned from Spielberg. Your first take. He pulls the Spielberg card.
Absolutely. I can absolutely see that. I mean, like, oh crap, here we go again.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, Christian.
Eden, hello.
Hello, Ori, you were in your
You
John
said
Bon
Santa
Jovi.
Fe. Well, I will explain to you why. It's because you said Santa Fe.
Yes.
And it brought to mind the fact that John Bon Jovi, genius that he is, wrote a song called Santa Fe for the movie Young Guns 2.
Yes.
So I am absolutely tickled with that notion. As you know, Eden, I am desperate to play Rockin' Next Door John Bon Jovi. And
Yes.
I know I said musicals are not my thing. I am willing to make the exception for him to document his life as it should be by me.
Yes. I know. You still have the wig too, so.
I do. And I'm feeling a little shy, but
Aww.
I do want to ask Eden if you would grant me the opportunity to audition here for any potential producers, directors, writers who might want to trust me with this project.
Of course, Christian. It would be my honor. Please go ahead.
Thank you. I will do this as a song, if I may.
Yes.
I was in a musical once. I said never again, but a man can change his mind now and then. It happens. So won't you please consider me for the role of John? Or even if it's Richie, I'll be happy. Come on, you've gotta cast me. I'd never steer you wrong. Just give me a shot. Hey, I've got the hair. Yeah, it's a wig and I don't care. Take a look, you can't help but stare. Whoa, that's John Bon Jovi there. John Bon Jovi there.
Wow, Christian, that was amazing. That was amazing. I am going to put that out tonight, probably. That
Thank
was
you.
incredible.
Thank
That
you.
was
It would mean the
incredible.
world to me to be cast as John Bon Jovi. Or like I said, Richie Sambora, for I am, as I have mentioned, a natural brunette.
Yes. You are. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, that was so lovely. Thank you so much, Christian, for using our
Believe
platform for
me,
that.
it is my pleasure. Thank you, Eden.
You're welcome. That was a lovely song.
He certainly thinks so, doesn't he?
That was amazing. Oh my god, I had to mute my microphone. That was amazing, Carla. That was
Hey,
an
I
incredible
take no
song.
credit for it.
Oh,
I just
sorry,
lent him the
Christian.
couch space. I
Yes,
lent him the
yes.
couch space and I lent him a pencil and paper because he couldn't use his phone
Oh, he's old
like a
fashioned that way.
normal.
He's old
Yeah.
fashioned. Doesn't that actually, if Christian Bale was to sit there and write something, I would think he would use a pencil and paper for some reason.
It sounds like it would be up his alley to do that, doesn't it?
Yes, that was amazing. I really am going to put that out tonight. So thank you, Christian. That was incredible. So I don't know if we'll see you later on, but if we do,
Who knows with him?
who knows?
He has a lot to say.
Yeah. I bet that's can be a pain probably living with him sometimes. But
it is what it is.
yeah, and you've got his family there, so I'm sure his family's cool. I'm sure his wife seems really cool.
Yes,
so.
they are here. So like the bail sitting is down to a minimum this year.
The bail sitting is down to a minimum. That's amazing. So were you done with your thoughts? I'm sorry, I am totally distracted.
We were on your thoughts.
Oh,
We
yes, that's right.
finished.
That's
I
right.
think we were wrapping up because you were talking about the number Santa Fe.
Oh, yes, thank you. I was talking about how he wasn't really into it at all. That's right. That's right. Thank you. Thank you, Carla. I'm like, where was I?
But little did he know that just a few years later there would be a Santa Fe that he would be into.
Yeah, little see, it was like, you know how hard I would, you know how hard I would laugh and how excited I would be if Christian Bale was actually cast in a John Bon Jovi
Oh my
biopic.
god, I would die. I would be so happy.
I mean, they'd probably be like, he's a little too old to play him now, but hey, Christian can transform into anything.
Yes, he's so talented.
Yes, but I would faint probably. I'd be like, hey, this is because of us. This is because of Carla's Christian audition. Not Christian audition, Christian Bale.
My audition to be a Christian. Can you imagine?
But yes, I think, but the scenes where Christian is not singing and not dancing are really good. He's great. He's fantastic. He's Christian Bale. And he doesn't ham it up. I mean, the accent is hammy, but I think everybody kind of was like
Everybody really sold you hard on that accent.
yeah, they're like, and I have a feeling the director was probably like, we gotta ham this up. And
Not New Yorky enough.
yes, they've got to know for sure that you're from New York. They might not
You're
be
poor
sure.
and you're from New York.
Yes.
Sell it.
And they did, man. But yeah, the moments where he's being, like, because Jack's kind of cocky, but the cockiness and the arrogance is covering up for the fact that he's just really wants a family and he doesn't have a family and he feels like nothing and he feels insignificant. And so when he becomes this leader of this movement, this labor movement, which, David helps a lot with that too. He really relies on David and David's feedback because he's in love with David and admires David. Yes, I said he's in love with David. I don't care. David's in love with him too. So hey,
it's mutual. You know what?
I want that version.
How do you not fall in love with somebody who treats your little brother like a total king? Like carries him around, teaches him the ropes, teaches him to sell a pape.
I sell those papes. I should have counted how many times they said that word.
I mean, he took him, like, the first thing he did after being leery of him is, oh, you're coming to meet my family.
Yep.
Gotta show you off to my mom's.
Yes. Mom, do you approve? And, if this wasn't a Disney movie, and with Robert Duvall with his and his accent changed like 10 times throughout the movie. I don't know what accent he was supposed to have. First, it seemed very like just an American accent. I don't know. And then it seemed almost Irish. And then it seemed almost like, I don't know, something else. And then some other made up accent. I don't know. But he was like a typical Disney villain. It was like,
yeah.
Like be a Disney villain, but a pape Disney villain.
You're not trying to steal a teenager's voice. You're not trying to to give a young girl an apple. You're trying to sell papes. And Robert Duvall said, yeah, I'm gonna sell papes.
I'm gonna sell those papes. Here I go selling those papes.
Now we're obsessed with the word.
I know.
I think we've officially said it more times than they did in the movie.
I know. I think we've officially talked about that more than we've talked about really anything about this movie. Our Newsies fan base is gonna be like, forget you.
Maybe they selected it as a joke though, so maybe it's okay.
Yeah. Like, we want you to get this over with. But anyway, so I liked the character of Jack. I will say, even though this movie is not my favorite movie we've covered, I did enjoy the character Jack, and a lot of that honestly is Christian Bale and his charisma and watching him, and he's so young. He's just this,
Yes,
like, I'm so used to watching him now as this older geeky dork of a guy. I mean, he's such a dork.
yes,
I'm used to watching
but
dork dad Bale kind of thing.
but you know what? Like I think that when he plays more menacing characters, not even dangerous characters, but more menacing characters that really come across the screen, and they feel so real and so three-dimensional. Like he had that even then, and with this role, there are so many times where he is intimidating.
Yeah.
I think in a way that maybe wasn't intentional for the movie, but that it's because he has such intensity about him in anything that he does. Um, when he like that first time that he confronts the two kids who are like the Weasel's nephews,
Mm-hmm.
it was so intimidating. Like I was like, "Whoa, I'm scared of Jack." But you know, he was doing it to first of all to like mess with them, but also to protect the other Newsies. But he does have that gravitas that you know like he if he's on the screen, you're paying attention to him, which in the dance numbers is not a great thing. But but I just want to know, man. Is it the gun goddess, the choreo? Just tell me. But he- like I said before, like even with the adult actors, his presence is just so magnetic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's just, there's a reason he's my favorite top actor. There's a reason he's our unofficial mascot. There's a reason we cover him every month. There's a reason we have a very loving tribute to him in Carla's impression. That is a loving tribute to him.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
really
I mean,
is. I
because
mean,
it's like I'm not making fun of him in any
no,
way. I mean, like
no.
there's nothing serious about that. Like I'm not even trying to like do an actual impersonation. I'm just conveying my love for him in the silliest
Exactly.
way that I know because that's how I do things.
Yes, and people love it. I mean, people I hear from people all the time how much they love Carla's impression because it's just so much fun, and I think it also, I think if we didn't love Christian so much, it wouldn't be so much
Yeah.
fun and to talk about him. And he's like you are, your eyes are drawn to him. And yes, there are times like let's say The Dark Knight. Yes, if
Mhm.
Heath Ledger's there, you are a little bit more drawn to Heath Ledger, but I mean, it's the Joker and Heath Ledger's
Right.
performance was phenomenal. So, yeah, of course you're going to be drawn to that, but still.
Yeah. But even with that, that was just like and it's a movie about a comic. It's a you know, it's a DC movie,
Mhm.
but those performances are so stellar. They're so out of this world. You have these two amazingly gifted actors. It's a total treat to have two fantastic performers on the screen at the same time. It just that's why that's part of why it was so mind-blowing, you know? There's their interactions were so good because they're both so talented.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, yeah, and well, the way Christian has put it is more like, yeah, I was really outshined, but I knew I would be when I saw how amazing Heath Ledger was. But that's Christian for you. It's
Yeah.
not like, I mean, that's
He's
just
so
the way
modest.
he really is. Really, it's pretty incredible to me how modest he
Look,
is.
I'm doing like the hands under chin thing, like
You
you can
are the
practically see the little
oh,
hearts coming up from my hair. Like, oh, he's so modest.
it's true. We love Christian on this podcast, so which shocker, but
I know, right? On Christian Bale Month, we're gonna confess that we love him. Ew.
But yes, your eyes are always drawn to him. He's he's just got this charisma about him in every role he plays, whether it be like a small little role or a huge role. You know, watching him in Thor, he was very charismatic. Which I don't care what anyone
Mhm.
says, I would have been fine seeing your ass, but whatever. So
I mean, like, did you forget about American Psycho?
I know. I'm like,
Like,
dude, your
that was a
ass.
perfectly fine booty. I don't know what you're complaining about.
Yeah, it was more than perfectly fine. It's like, holy crap. I mean, I don't
And
know,
yes,
maybe
I know that it was like 23 years ago,
yeah, so
but
maybe his ass isn't as
the
nice.
raw material is still there, I'm sure.
Yes, but even Taika Waititi saying nobody wants to see your ass. I am sorry,
Taika, don't be
Taika,
a
but
hater.
come on. Anyway, we have talked so little about this movie so far. I don't think Christian wouldn't have it any other way. Uh, but yeah, so I want to know, Carla, do you have a favorite song in this?
No, next question. No, like the closest I came to having a favorite song was My Lovey Dovey Baby, and only because Anne Margaret sang it. That's it.
Yeah, that would be probably yes. Yeah, I don't really either. I was like, pick one, Aaron, and then I'm like, no, I'm sorry. I just really, and I love musicals. Here's the thing, I love
Yeah, me
musicals, and so does
too.
Carla. So it's like, it's not that I don't love this genre, but none of these songs were like, ooh, I'm gonna be singing that
Yeah, and like,
forever.
listen, it's not a kick on anybody who does love
No.
this musical, and who for whom this is like a favorite or anything. Sorry, I just don't see eye to eye with you on this. But if you enjoy it, I'm glad that you do, because there's stuff out there for everybody. This just happens to not be one of my things.
Yes. Same for me. I mean, yeah. So yeah, and I think, a lot of the other performances, some of them are good.
Mhm.
And I liked watching Bill Pullman in this too, but
Oh my god!
I
When I
know I
saw that
was
Bill
like
Pullman was in this,
I was
because
like
I
Carla
didn't
is
look.
gonna
Oh, woman, whew, I was not warned. I was not prepared. I saw Bill Pullman and I almost fell off the couch. I was like, I was not prepared. Because, like, I'm like, oh, Chrissy B, he's so young and he's so cute, and oh my gosh, look how pretty but Bill Pullman is here. Oh my god. I need a moment. Like, young Bill Pullman, and he still looks good now, but like Bill Pullman at that point, and that was, I think, the same year as While You Were Sleeping. So it's a good couple of years for me and Bill Pullman material out there, apparently.
That's true. It was. That's for some reason I was thinking like this was like way ahead of that, but no.
I think no. If anything, I think While You Were Sleeping was maybe 93, but it was definitely right around that time. I was like, oh my god, Bill Pullman is here. This made everything so much better. I can't believe that I get to watch him too.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I was wondering. I'm like, Carla is going to be in heaven once he comes on the
I
screen.
truly was. And even though he sang and danced, I still loved him.
Even though,
No, again, not terrible, not great.
hmm
Very confused as to why they would cast somebody who is not like an actual singer in this role. It's okay. It's still Bill Pullman. I'm fine. I
yeah,
just never have to watch it again. It's okay.
yeah, I know. Sorry, but I probably will never watch this movie again. To be quite honest,
Yeah.
it was entertaining enough. It was way too long, though. I'm like, this is
Jesus,
over
yes.
2 hours.
And again, this would have been a fantastic drama. If they had
Yes.
just kept it as a drama, it would have been great on its own. But they chose to make it a musical. God only knows why. And it took away from a lot of the greater moments in the film.
hmm Yes, I agree. And once again, like Carla said, it's no offense to people that love this because there are lots of things I love that people are like, why in the world do you like this? So
I mean,
it's
hello,
not our cup
you
of
know,
tea.
you're taking this from somebody who one of their favorite movies is A Night at the Roxbury. Like, take it with a grain of salt. You don't have to like the things that I like.
And for me, I love the romantic movie Life as We Know It with Katherine Heigl and Josh Duhamel. I've watched that movie
I
an
mean, come
embarrassing
on.
number of times. So I also
More
watched
than
it.
once is embarrassing.
I've watched it probably like 5 or 6 times, Carla. So yes, I have my embarrassing ones too. So and that is definitely one of them. I'm like, why do I like this? This is a horrible premise, horrible story, horrible people. But I still love it. But anyway, so yes, so more power to you if you love this, and don't get upset that I compared this to life as we know it. I'm just using that as an example. But this film is, even though we're giving it a hard time, it is trying to say something about capitalism, rich people. This is an ongoing theme in the world anyway, and right now, especially with labor movements too, and people taking control and unions and stuff. So, on a little bit of more serious in a way, which it would have been, that's why it would have been so interesting to see this as a drama, because this is a very serious topic. And when you put the musical numbers and the dancing, it just kind of loses that
I
somehow.
know, it's like Child Labor, the musical. What?
Oh my gosh, can you imagine if they titled it that?
That's basically what it comes down to. They're like, no, let's go with Newsies.
It's true. Babes. Newsies telling the babes.
If they have titled it Papes.
Anyways.
Let's get serious.
Yes. So how do you think they handled that with talking about capitalism and labor movements and all of that?
Tale as old as time, song as old as rhyme. Capitalism sucks. It's just an absolutely. I mean, we're still under the thumb of capitalism. We're still suffering the effects of capitalism. Like, look at the fact that the wealthy control so much. They control so much. They control the media. They control pharmaceuticals. They control our access to healthcare, to uh, sovereignty over our own bodies. They control how we're policed, how we're governed. And this is a very small amount of mostly white men, white cisgender, quote unquote Christian men. And the rest of us are down here suffering, trying to make ends meet, trying to make rent, trying to have enough food on the table, trying to not do without medicine, because how often do people ration their medicine because the cost of it is so inaccessible? Insurance is not what it should be. It's so it's important that they were talking about it. And yes, God, it it really pains me that they decided to go the musical route with this, because they had so many important things to say, but you put it in a frankly mediocre musical, and it, like, all of these important points kind of get lost in it. But yes, the real issue with capitalism is at the front and center, which is that it exploits the workers so that people can get richer. In this movie, they one of the early scenes is Pulitzer trying to make more money, and even his henchmen are like, boss, why? Like, you have so much of it, why do you need more of it? And he's like, because it's money. Like, his whole thinking is, I just need more of it. I need to have the money. I need to have the power. I need to beat Hearst. It has nothing to do with improving the quality of the product. It has nothing to do with, like, we need to get these news out there. The news is so important. He doesn't view the news as an important thing that needs to be consumed by people because people deserve to be aware of what's going on in their world. He sees it as a power play. He uses the news um, to manipulate it, just as it happens now, to manipulate public opinion for the people that he wants to see elected, for the things that he wants to see done. And that is why independent journalism is so important. Like, we talk now about the the way that, for example, CNN and the New York Times have changed over the last 10-15 years to where they're no longer really reliable sources of news, because they are so caught up in the capitalism, in the capitalistic aspect of the money making part of the news, that there's no real um, effort being put into impartiality, into giving real like a real voice to the people who are under duress because of the people in power. So I think that is it's really important, an important aspect of the film. Labor movements. I mean, look at, you know, the constant need for the IATSE union workers to strike, for Starbucks baristas to have to unionize and attempt to strike, Amazon workers,
Mhm.
um, teachers. You know, when our fundamental rights as a society are so entangled in capitalism in the way that it strips us of those rights, also that somebody else can have power and money, where in the meantime our teachers have to pay out of their own pocket to have supplies for their students, like the most basic things they can't get. They work in schools filled with asbestos and with improper ventilation, um, and they still continue to be undercut. So this is something that it continues to be an important thing to highlight. And in this case, it happened to be about children, because the exploitation of child labor was such a commonplace thing that, I don't know, people just kind of thought, it's like, okay, well, thought nothing of David's parents, thought nothing really of him having to go and take his brother to go and sell papes, to help them after their father got injured. And it's, you know, like, yes, David is older. He's probably 17, same age
Mhm.
as Jack. Um, but Les, he's what, like 9?
Yeah,
And it's
really
perfectly
young.
fine for him. Yeah, it's perfectly fine for him to be out there in the streets selling newspapers. Boots was, they don't say his age, but if you're, you know, if you're looking up the age of the actors, the ages of the actors seem to be, except for Max Casella, the ages of the actors seem to be the ages that they played in the movie.
Mhm.
And Boots is 4 years older, 4 years younger than Christian Bale. The actor is 4 years younger than Christian Bale, so he's 13. The character is 13 in this movie, if you go by that. So these little kids are out there, and the other ones in the sweatshops, the young girls, uh, the seamstresses, like all of these things going on that are so normalized to the point where it becomes invisible. And all of these exploitations are made to be normalized so that they can be invisible. And that's how exploitation continues. When it's seen as normal for people to return to offices in the
Mhm.
midst of a pandemic, and the people in power are quick to throw in a buck to silence the critics who are saying this is not tenable, this is not good. When the airline industry put pressure on the CDC to lower the quarantine days from 15 to 10 to 5, that's also labor exploitation, because you're subjecting, I mean, it's an airplane, you know, there's, you can put in all the ventilation that you want, but it's still a tin can
Yeah.
where you're with no mask mandates, you're exposed to everybody's everything. So there is a constant need to bring up exploitative labor practices and the ways in which we are being used and our lives are being put in peril so that somebody somewhere can buy a third mansion on the Seychelles. You know, like it's incredibly unfair and it's incredibly inhumane, but because it becomes a normalized thing in society, we're not even all that aware of it. Um, and anything about it gets buried, again, because these people in power can do that. They can bury the news. They can silence the people who are willing to speak out.
Yeah, and I mean, in this movie, which once again, it would have been just so much better as a drama because so much of this gets lost in the musical numbers, but um you have the whole scene where Pulitzer's trying to figure out how to make more money and different options. And of course, the option he goes to is where he can hurt the people who are, the Newsies and stuff, and the kids who are selling the papers and selling the newspapers for him. And of course, he's going to go to that and be like, I'm going to hurt these people the most, and this will make me the most money, and this will hurt them in the long run. But who cares in the end, kind of thing. And it's just, that's the attitude of capitalism, and a lot of rich people and a lot of billionaires who are in power and control is, how can they do it where it'll have the least impact on them, and they don't care that they're going to be hurting their workers and hurting the people that they're exploiting through those kind of practices. And you see that that's what they were trying to explore in this movie. And it is a, like Carla saying, it is a tale as old as time. It really, this is something that's still going on. You see it now. You see it with with the stuff of demanding workers to come back to work is so gross to me, because it's like, there is no, I'm sorry, but I mean, I know doctors and nurses had to be working, and x-ray techs and radio. I mean, my sister's in medical field, so I understand they had to be there during the pandemic, and they had no out in that, and there are certain fields that are like that. But to sit there and say, you have to come back to an office job, sitting there on a computer, and risk your health for this, or risk your health for a job where you're making like minimum wage. I mean, come on. That's so disgusting and so backwards. And a lot of these people proclaim to be like Christian, and you really think Jesus would be like, "Oh yeah, let's go exploit those workers." That's what Jesus was
Yeah, that's
about.
totally what he was all about. I mean, like, don't you remember in the Gospel of Matthew, 12:42-89, how Jesus said, "And I say unto thee, my brethren, for God wants you to make money for the man, and you cannot enter the kingdom of heaven unless you have gone bankrupt over medical issues." And the crowd said, "Yay."
Yeah, sounds so much like Jesus. That's why I say most of the people that proclaim to love Jesus would persecute Jesus today. So it's like, it's just it's just gross. And the pandemic shed such this light on it that a lot of other people already saw were there, but I think other people started seeing it. But it also shed the light on it with the fact that you will see people's reaction to people not wanting to work these jobs anymore, and they'll be like, there's plenty of jobs out there, just go get a job. And people are like, we realize our life is more valuable than this, and we don't want to do this, and we want something better, and we're going to try and get that. And people being upset about that, I'm like, why life is really hard anyway? Why would you want to add that onto there and be like, why do you want your whole life to be about how many hours you spent in an office giving to a job that really frankly means absolutely, most jobs mean absolutely nothing in the long run? And
It's true. It's true. I mean, most of us aren't out there, you know, breathing life into people. Most of us
yeah.
aren't out there rescuing people from peril. Most of us are paper pushers and people trying to get um, people to pay somebody else. This money
Mm-hmm.
isn't going into our pockets because, I think it's so funny when people say that, you have to be good to your employers because they're the ones paying your bills. It's like, no, I'm paying my bills. I'm being paid what I'm owed because of the work that I do. These
Mm-hmm.
people aren't paying my bills. I'm earning this money. So the the pressure that is put on employees to sacrifice their private life, their family time, their health, their well-being, their mental health, and it's glorified. It's seen as a mark of a contributing member of society, to burn out. Like, oh, this person works so hard, they deserve a couple of weeks a couple of weeks rest. Like, okay, that's let's take a look at the fact that this is what we're saying is good for society, and it's good for you as a person to be a part of this. But really, who is it benefiting? Because I'm telling you now, it's not you.
Yeah, because that whole be nice to your employer, it should be switched around. It should be nice to your employee, because you would not have
Absolutely.
your wealth without that employee. Frankly, you would not have what you have without that person working, probably in some instances a lot harder than you're working, and making nowhere near what you're making. It's that kind of thing. It's this, we're so messed up in that thinking of money is everything. And it's also this thinking of, we all just want to help ourselves, and we just want to, and that whole little, pull yourself up by your bootstraps kind of mentality. When we should, I mean, I don't mean to get like kumbaya, but we should, ideally we would want to help each other and be there for each other and be human beings to each other, and want to make it so that you don't go bankrupt from medical bills. No one should have to go bankrupt for their health. That is such BS, man. It's, nobody should go bankrupt for that. That is so ludicrous.
Yeah, it's a basic human right to be able
Yes.
to live as well as you can. And if the systems are in place to help you do that, then why aren't they accessible? It's also that somebody else can make a profit, and it's horrible. It's absolutely disgusting that that our ability to recover from an illness or to deal with an injury or disability is highly dependent on the whims of people sitting in an office deciding. It's basically like the gladiator arenas with some emperor giving the thumbs up or thumbs down on whether you live or die, but in the form of some person approving or not a CT scan or your surgery for something.
Hmm.
Like it's absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, it's just, it's gross. It's negligent, and it's harmful, and frankly it leads to death. It doesn't just lead to bankruptcy, it leads to death. It leads to greater depression, it leads to greater, lots of things. So, it's just sad. And I just, once again, wish this movie had been a drama, because then they could have explored this at a deeper level than they did. But then you got to throw in a musical number. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
like,
No, and you have already Christian Bale, who
yes.
is a fantastic actor, because he knocks all of the scenes that are not singing and dancing scenes, he knocks them all out of the park. And even if you, I mean, the more comedic elements in it, he does great in those. He's such a great actor. And you have, like Robert Duvall is there, and Bill Pullman, and David Moscow, who's also great.
Mhm.
Um, all of these really fantastic actors, and you squander that talent for the purpose of making a musical.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Mm-mm.
No sense. Yeah, because I mean, yeah, it's just, yeah. Anyway, well, did you like other characters in here? Were there any other characters that
I did. I mean, other than Jack's boyfriend, um, David, who I thought was great.
yeah,
David Moscow was fantastic in his role. He
he
really,
was.
from the beginning, when he's so skeptical, and he has all of the right things to say, but he doesn't have the courage to say them, so he's saying them through Jack. Um, they play off of each other so well. They have that yes, they have that great chemistry, but that they also have that ability to play off of each other, and bring forth these elements of being co-conspirators in a really great way, where they're doing something wonderful. Of course, I love Bill Pullman. I mean, like, I adore Bill Pullman, and I really, you really feel for him as somebody who is caught up in this capitalist machine, where this is his job.
Mhm.
and his job is being threatened. And now his life is being threatened because we're putting him in war coverage. Which is like, okay, sure. Like, but again, that tells you about capitalism and the lengths that they're willing to go to protect their income. They're not willing to protect you and your health. They will send a man to war rather than let
Yeah.
Newsies not have to pay more out of pocket. But I think, um, God, there were so many great performances. But I really love Max Casella. Um, of course, I loved him when he was in Doogie Howser as the best friend. I think he's
Uh-huh.
adorable. Um, but he had some of the funniest comedic parts in this movie. He does like that outrage so well.
Mhm.
And what I really enjoy about him too is that he's also somebody who's more of an actor than a singer, but I think he has more of like also the spirit. Although honestly, you can't really tell about his singing because it's mostly in chorus when he sings. But he has more of that theater kid spirit where he blends in with the other kids in a
Mhm.
good way, where it feels like a proper musical. It doesn't feel like an actor doing a musical. It feels like this is a musical part. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, they were my favorites.
Yeah, I mean, I just David is my other favorite mainly because I think David Moscow is great in this, and he's really, really fantastic. And I just liked his character a lot because he was such a great counterpart to Jack. And he wanted to do this labor movement, but at the same time he was scared because he has a lot of pressure and a lot of weight on his shoulders he has to take care of his family. That's a lot of pressure for a 17-year-old. And he's worried about his little brother and all of this stuff. So he's worried that doing this might harm that and that might harm any kind of ability he will have to make that. But then you watch as he gets more and more inspired and he becomes a stronger force in this movement. And he really is inspired by Jack, just like Jack is inspired by David. David's inspired by Jack. And I think what inspires him about Jack is Jack's willingness to just kind of just go all out there and just do it and just, be loud. And David is a lot quieter. I don't mean voice wise, I just mean in the presence. And so I think David gets inspired by that and becomes a little bit like when he wants to break to get Jack out of the jail and get all that kind of stuff. And Jack has made that deal with Pulitzer because he's been threatened and all of that stuff. And you see David's heartbreak there when he thinks Jack is no longer on his side or no longer going to be his friend or no longer going to help with this. And it's like your hero kind of falling in a way is the way he views it. So he does that performance is really good, David Moscow, because you see that vulnerability in his eyes and that pain and all of that. So I really, really liked that character and ditto all the other characters too that Carla mentioned. And Bill Pullman's character, it was so interesting to me that a war correspondent was used as something for him to go back to doing, to go sent out doing, which of course was the life threatening thing. But it also almost seemed like that wasn't. It was interesting to me that he didn't seem like he wanted to cover that, and he would rather cover a labor movement, which you don't normally see that. You normally would see like a reporter wanting to go and cover the big, the war and do the war coverage because that's more quote unquote prestigious. But he was really in this labor movement and he was the voice for so many of these kids in a lot of respects because he was one of the only adults that was like on their side. So that was a very interesting character and an interesting performance too. So from I just keep thinking this was way before While You Were Sleeping, but it wasn't, but it just felt like it. It felt like
Yeah, I think it's just a setting. I think we're just maybe it
yes,
wasn't
I
that
think
bad a
that's what it was.
movie. Like we were actually convinced that it was the 1800s. I think that's what it
With
comes
the
down
papes.
to.
With the
And with
papes.
the papes. And oh,
Yay.
I
Oh, you
need to
got your
get serious for the
serious.
moment. I
Yes.
have yes, yes, yes.
Hi, Christian.
So Eden,
Mhm.
I am making my very serious moment hand gesture
Yes.
because I agree that this should have been a drama. And it is not only because I did not want to sing, but it's mostly that.
I don't blame you. Yes, yes.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Okay. That's it.
He just needed to get that off his chest, I guess.
I love that we have two different looks. I mean, he had that time to change. Well, he's an actor. He's used to doing the quick change stuff.
Yes.
So there you go. Wow. Well, we're this is short, but for us, I mean, it's not. It's an hour.
For us, yeah.
Not really, but I do have a 6 degrees of Finn Whitrock. Once again, I can't use The Big Short. So I used Bill Pullman, who, of course, was in The Sinner with Matt Bomer, who was in The Normal Heart with Finn, along with other stuff as well. So you can listen to our episode covering The Sinner, and you can also listen to our episode covering The Normal Heart. So go listen to those. Go watch The Normal Heart. That's I criticize Ryan Murphy heavily on this podcast, but The Normal Heart is a fantastic, fantastic film. Very important film and fantastic performances. And yes, we did critique the fact that there were a lot of straight actors playing playing the characters, not Matt Bomer, of course, but it's still a fantastic film. So go listen to that episode and watch that movie on HBO Max.
And I'm going to recommend The Sinner, not just because Bill Pullman is in it, but it is a fantastic show. Oh my gosh, it is jaw-droppingly tense. And okay, if you're looking for a drama done right,
Whoa.
zero singing. And you get to see Bill Pullman with his fantastic older gentleman facial hair. It's great.
Yes. Yes, it is a really, really good show. Yes. It's very intense though. Everybody very, very, very intense. It's not a happy viewing experience. So just
like
know
find
that
trigger warnings and heed them. There's a lot to be wary of.
Yes, a lot. But
and listen to the episode about The Sinner because I was on it. Yay.
Yes, but great performances throughout every cast too. Just throughout that series, because every season Bill Pullman returns, but every season most of the rest of the cast is different. So, but they're all fantastic performances. So go watch that. It's on Netflix, by the way. All 4 seasons are on Netflix. So watch that. Also, one of the seasons, the one with Matt Bomer in it, the 3rd season, also has the best Chris. Because remember, I don't consider Christian a Chris, but Chris Messina. And if you want to, the first 2 seasons and the only seasons of the Mindy Project are now also on Netflix. So yes, and you can listen to our Mindy Project episode from way back in 2020. Yeah, that was 2020, right?
I think so.
Holy long time. No, it was 2021 that Christian became a part of this podcast, by the way. I think I said 2020 the other day. It was actually 2021. All the years blend in lately. Who knows? Anyway, well, so thank you so much. And I'll tell you when we're close out. Sorry. Blah, blah. So Carla from Bedwetter We Had, which once again, they did a Christian Bale episode that I was on. Where can everybody find your wonderful podcast and you and your art?
Well, thank you, Erin. You can find the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And you can find our Twitter presence, which is right now mostly just us retweeting other podcasters and our own stuff when we put out new episodes at Pod. On Instagram, we are at bed.wet.behead.pod. I'm not going to tell you about our other social media presences. Just look for us wherever you have social media at Bedwet Behead Pod. We're probably there. We're probably not very active on those other ones, but just follow us for support. Because why not? What's the worst that can happen?
What's the worst that can happen?
What's the worst that can happen? Oh no,
you'll get great content.
You can look for me and my art and my musings at Carla Temis on Instagram and on my website, carlatemis.com. That's CARLATEMIS.com.
And that time I really mouthed it. Uh, This is Erin. I am still on Twitter. I'm just not very active, but you can follow me there at April Beauty. The E and the A and the B are capitalized. Be sure to like the show on Facebook at facebook.com/It's a Fandom Thing Pod. On Twitter for now at Fandom Thing Pod. No, it's in that one. On Instagram at It's a Fandom Thing Pod. I have been very active on there lately, so especially with stories. So you can find more activity there. We are on Hive, but I'm not very active there. I will get active. I will, I promise. At Fandom Thing Pod. No, it's in that one. On TikTok at It's a Fandom Thing Pod. We have a Discord channel now for Christian effing Bale. So you can come and celebrate this man even more. You can see TikToks. You can see funny memes. You can just celebrate the wonder and beauty that is Christian 365 days of the year. So that's the Christian effing Bale station channel. I don't know what they're called on Discord under It's a Fandom Thing Pod. I did put a link to it in our stories. It should still be up there. If not, I'll put it in the show notes as well. So you'll be able to find it there. And then also just an announcement, and this was Carla's idea. We are doing a new annual thing, our podcast awards. So we are going to be basically awarding, best episode, best movie episode, best TV episode from the past year of this podcast, best interview, favorite panelist, that kind of stuff. And the nominees, there'll be 5 nominees in every category for most categories. Some categories might have a couple more. The nominees are going to be announced live on our YouTube channel on Tuesday, January 17th at 6:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And then we're going to have a ballot that's going to be open to the public. So you'll get to vote on who the winners are. And the winners will be announced live on Sunday, February 19th at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And if you want to have a say in who those nominees are, go join our Patreon before the 14th for as little as, so if you're listening to our podcast episode on Friday the 13th, so you have like just a few minutes, but go join there. But you can do it next year too. Join there for as little as $3 a month, and you'll have a say in who the nominees are as well. So on our next Christian effing Bale episode, we are going to be talking about a movie that we decidedly like a heck of a lot more than this one. In fact, this is one of my favorite Christian Bale movies. And this would be in my top 10 probably of his performances. And that is Adam McKay's movie, The Big Short. So that will be a ton of fun. That's going to be on Friday the 13th is when we're going to do the live stream. So if you're listening to this, you can come join the live stream. And because The Big Short also features our Vice unofficial mascot, Mr. Finn Whitrock, we will have a couple members of our Finn crew. So Jen from my streaming bubble, Jen, my podcast brain twin, will be here. And then also Aaron A will be here. So I am making them play 6 Degrees of Finn. I'm going to figure out a way, since he's in the movie with Christian. So you can't use that. So I'm going to figure out a fun way to make them play because they're part of my Finn crew. So it's kind of a requirement. They don't even know this yet, but they're going to know it soon. So yes, so that'll be a ton of fun. I'm excited to talk about that one. And then the week after that, we will be talking about Vice, a movie I have a lot of thoughts on. But Christian is fantastic in it. So, there's no denying that. So, and still one of the best Golden Globe Awards speeches ever in the history of the world is him winning that Golden Globe. And then we are at some point going to be talking about The Pale Blue Eye, which is out now on Netflix. I haven't watched it yet. Shockingly, I have not watched this yet. I don't know if Carla has. No. Oh, I can't hear you.
I double muted myself. Not yet, but it's on my list for this week.
Yes. And we will discuss it at some point. I haven't talked to Carla about when we will, but we will. And then we're going to do Christian Bale birthday trivia, of course, live on the 29th at the day before Christian's birthday. I'm never going to mess that up again ever in my life.
You don't want him randomly showing up at your house. Like,
yeah. Well, maybe
disappointed in you.
Yeah. I would be fine if he randomly showed up at my house, but not the disappointed in me part. I don't want Christian disappointed in me. But yes, so that'll be a ton of fun. And thank you again for joining us on our second Christian effing Bale month. And hopefully the people that came in and viewed for a little bit weren't upset because you love Newsies so much. But anyway.
Listen, yeah.
Listen, yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, yeah. Oh, I forgot to say our website. I think I did.
Oh,
So if you have any feedback, show notes, if you'd like to be a potential interview guest on the show, feel free to reach out to us at it'safandomthingpod.com. So until next time, remember, it's a fandom thing. Black Lives Matter and stop Asian hate. And bye to anyone who views this later. We don't mean to insult a movie that you love, but we all have different tastes. And remember, if you ever feel like, oh man, they just are so full of themselves, I have seen Life as We Know It about like 6 times. So
and I have seen A Night at the Roxbury upwards of 50. So,
wow. Is that more than I've seen Donnie Darko? I don't
uh
think so,
I
actually.
don't think so. I think we may be like maybe tied on those viewings. But yeah, A Night at the Roxbury. So, grain of salt, okay?
Yes. So there you go. Okay. Well, good night. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye.